This is the Akasvani Imphal. In our weekly program of English Talk today, we have an interview with Bachaspatimayum Rajoo Sharma, VP of Sales at Intango, New York, United States, with our interviewer, Kakchingtabam Ritesh Sharma.
Well, listeners, we have Raju Sharma from United States to share his experience in US as well as how he ended up working there in US. So there are lots of things to talk about, but before we start the conversation, before we start the interaction, in order to get to know better about him, Mr. Raju, let's have a brief introduction about yourself so that the listeners can get to know better about you.
Okay, so I was born in Kasamtong, Longjam
Mm-hmm.
I went to boarding school in Shillong, and from there on, I went to St. Xavier's College in Bombay, from where I went to New York. Been in New York for 35 odd years.
Mm.
I'm a father of a beautiful 20-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in advertising.
You work in US. How do you become a part of the organization you're working there in US? Is it through scholarship or how do you end up being abroad?
Well, one, I had to get a scholarship because my folks couldn't afford the tuition fees.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky enough to get one at a university in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then I changed my visa status from H-1B to green card, and that's how I stayed.
And how do you adapt yourself in United States after being in India? What's the difference between being in India and United States?
Right. So I guess I was lucky enough to go to a Catholic schooling
Mm-hmm.
all my life. I went to Little Flower School, then I went to St. Edmunds in Shillong, which is a boarding school run by Irish brothers, and then St. Xavier's College is probably one of the most westernized universities in India.
Mhm.
So you get used to the American culture. So, and Bombay is very metropolitan. People from all over the country, different languages. So didn't seem anything different when I got to New York. Just different color skin, I guess.
Okay, there's no cultural transition.
No, I mean, got used to it.
What about your personal growth and reflection when you look ahead or when you look back?
Initially, I was in this money business. I was on Wall Street. I was a stockbroker for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got tired of money. I wanted to get out. And now I'm in advertising, but doing pretty much the same thing, which is in sales.
How you ended up being a BP in sales?
But that is just depends on the number of years you've been in the business and how much revenue you bring into the company.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a title. Well, I guess in sales, the more business you bring in, the higher title you can get. You can get a VP, SVP, whatever. But that's not the most important. The important thing is that you bring in business. If you bring business, you make commissions. That's the more important thing. I could be account executive or I could be a director of sales and making more money than a VP somewhere else.
Okay, because in India it does matter a lot, the designation and all. So that's why I'm asking how.
Well,
you,
I think in sales,
Uh.
I don't think much different here. If you're in a sales organization, the more sales you do, you get promoted.
Mhm.
You can mentor other younger people.
Mm.
But in the outside of sales, whether it's marketing or whether it's corporate finance, those titles mean different. You have more responsibilities. I'm an independent producer. That means I don't have anybody reporting to me. I report to the CEO of the company.
Mhm.
So it's not that I have more responsibility because I'm a VP.
Okay.
I make money,
Mhm.
and so I become a VP. I make more money, maybe I become a senior VP. Just a matter of how much business I'm bringing in.
Tell us about the company. Is it based in Israel?
Yes, it's headquartered in Tel Aviv,
Mhm.
and I work for the U.S. arm.
Okay.
The Tel Aviv company is called Intango Limited.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. arm is called Intango Inc.
Mm.
And there are about 115 people in Tel Aviv,
Mm-hmm.
and there's about 4 of us in New York. I'm the only sales guy in the company right now.
You said you were studying in Mumbai. When you were studying, are you so sure or you are particularly very clear about your destination that you're going
Oh,
to?
no idea.
No idea.
No, I had no clue. My friend Rajoo, we were in the same school. He was applying to the States, and he said, what are you going to do in Bombay? You're going to be a lawyer. No, there's outside Xavier's, there's a place where you see a lot of lawyers in black jackets walking around.
Right, true.
So he's making fun of me. He said, what are you going to be? You're going to wear a black jacket, walk around that place. So I applied to the States, and I did GMAT, GRE, and all that stuff. And I was lucky to get a scholarship. That's how I left.
Okay.
I had no idea I was going to be in New York. I mean, I wanted to, but I wasn't desperate or something. I just happened to apply, got lucky.
If a student studying there or wherever in India, if they really want to go to abroad, United States or Europe or any other country, Do you have any fair share of knowledge which you can share?
I think it might be different for different countries, like US may be different from Germany or UK, but they have institutions or organizations that help foreign students have access to studies abroad, right? In Bombay, there's a place called, I think, if I remember right, USIS or something like that, where they give you all the resources to do the GRE, GMAT, LSAT, whatever you need to qualify entrance to universities there, and the procedures, what's needed to go about it. So if you want to go someplace, then you need to find that place in your state or a different state, and then talk to those people. Now I'm sure there's a lot of online resources that you can look at and just follow the process. Do the exams, get your recommendation letters, finish your number of years of schooling, because in the US, they need 14 years of schooling before you can get to graduate school, master's, PhD programs. Yeah, you just follow the process and it's not that difficult.
It's not that difficult.
Not anymore, yeah.
Okay.
You might not get a scholarship, but getting entrance is not a big deal.
After getting a scholarship there, you will be studying there. Is it really easy or hard to get a job and settle down there?
I think it's tough to say. It depends on the field that you're in. Even in high-tech fields, there is competition, like computer science, data sciences, coding, all this AI stuff. There's a lot of demand, but also very competitive. So depending on your field, you could be biology, you could be chemistry, whatever. So I cannot speak for that because I don't know that field. But after you finish your schooling, you have a year to find a job if you want to stay there and change your status from F1, which is the student visa, to H1B. So you just have to look and try to get something.
Life is all about struggle. I think everybody struggles in life. So when you start doing your work or when you start doing your job, how is life there? How do you struggle and how you settle yourself? Can you just go back in time and tell us how you are there?
When I was there, I went as a graduate student. And then after I finished my master's, again, my friend Rajoo, he was doing an internship at Lehman Brothers, the Lehman Brothers that collapsed in the financial crisis in 2008. But back then, it was a very prestigious white shoe firm. If you work at Lehman, you made it on Wall Street. So he's like, come to Wall Street, work on Wall Street. And I think around that time, the movie also came out, the Wall Street movie, Michael Douglas. It's very fascinating. I was totally into it. So I applied and I got into a small company called GKN Securities, and they don't pay salaries then. I don't think they don't still. As a broker, stockbroker, you basically get commissions on sales that you make. But as a trainee, I was working under someone that paid us peanuts. I think I got like $3.50 an hour, which is like way below minimum wage. That wasn't enough to pay rent in New York City. So three of us were holed up in a little apartment owned by Rajiv's friend. We were lucky because he knew this guy, so we got this apartment really cheap, and we're sleeping on the floor. I don't think, maybe we had mattresses on the floor. And then we take soggy turkey sandwiches to lunch. If I could afford a $2.50 gyro, they call it. Gyro is like a pita bread, and you wrap pieces of lamb or chicken with green peppers and onions and some sauce. You get that for $2.50. That was luxury lunch.
Okay.
That $2.50 today, it probably costs $10 today. But back then, it was $2.50. So instead of the soggy turkey sandwiches, if I can afford a $2.50 sandwich, that was like, oh my God, life is good. So I'd be getting out of my place, this apartment, which is way out in this little place called Flushing, out of Manhattan. And then a train ride from Flushing to Grand Central, and then changing the trains going to Wall Street, that take me 2 hours. Right, walking to the station, getting on the train, moving, and then so I'll be at my desk at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll leave the office around 10, sometimes 11 I've left. I'd get home like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, sleep for X number of hours, get up at 6 and do that whole thing all over again. So initially that was hard, but then as you finish the training lasted maybe 3 months or 4 months, maybe 5. And then you build your own book of business. So all the business you bring in will be yours, and then you start making commissions because you have existing clientele. So anytime they buy and sell, you're making money. So things got a little easier, and then they got better. I had multiple huge waves and troughs, up and down, fast lane of Wall Street. I was selling very aggressive small companies. So that means big winners and big losers. And yeah, it was exciting for a while. After 20 years, I didn't want to do it anymore. So I got out of there. I think I was older and trying to get into a new space in advertising, and nobody wants to hire an old guy with no experience in your field, right? So finally I got into this company, and they started me off on the ground floor. They paid me a salary that I was making in a month as a stockbroker, but I took it because I wanted to get out. Maybe that training period, building the business, took maybe about a year. And after a year, you train, you know how to do stuff, things come easy. So then after that, that was 2011. So yeah, that first year was hard, but then after that, it got better.
How about the food, the culture? So much of difference you find it here in Imphal, in Manipur. I mean, we come from a very traditional type. When you settle there in US, is it really hard to adjust?
If you have an open mind, then it's not. Because of my background being in Edmonds, Xavier's, and Bombay is a very metropolitan city. You don't just eat Indian food, you get lots of other stuff. So when I got to New York, you have multiple types of cuisine, multiple kinds of people, and you don't really have to eat Manipuri food all the time.
Right.
So if I want Manipuri food, I have Manipuri friends. I go to the house and I eat Manipuri food.
Okay.
But otherwise, there's so many other things. You get Korean, Japanese, Italian, French, German, Irish, Spanish, Mexican. There's endless types of food that you can have. And you get used to it. Breakfast, bacon, egg, and cheese. I don't eat cheese, but you can have bacon and eggs for breakfast. Coffee. I come to Imphal, I only drink chai. I don't drink coffee. I go back to New York, I never drink tea except maybe once a week, once a month. So it's if you miss it, you can always get stuff to make Manipuri food. Korea, Chinese food, they have similar things like fermented beans, black bean sauce, dried fish. So you can make Manipuri stuff if you want.
So you can get all the stuff there.
Yeah, pretty much. And then people are always sending food if you want. People coming and going from the US. I think my niece just asked for some dried fish because someone is going to the UK.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can get stuff if you want. But otherwise, there's endless types of food you can eat. There are a lot of Indian restaurants in New York.
How was US and how is US now? I mean, in terms of career perspective or the accommodation or whatever it is. So how much of difference do you find now in New York?
Now and then?
Now and then.
Don't really know what it is now because I'm not in that market anymore. But
the lifestyle, everything.
The lifestyle is pretty much the same. You have all the amenities that you can have. The more money you have, the more things you can have access to. New York is a great place because it is, if you want to go skiing, it's a couple of hours away. If you want to go to the beach, so it's a couple of hours away. And you have all kinds of people, all kinds of food, all kinds of things you want to do, you can do. It's really nice, and that hasn't changed. There might be new facilities to do things. New technology provides newer fields of employment. So those things are always changing and improving. But as far as getting a job and settling down there, I guess you'll still have to go through the same process. It's not difficult if you do it, but until you get it, it is hard to get there. Well, the flight ticket from New York to New Delhi was about, when I bought it in July to fly in December. So I guess I was lucky. I'm a pretty good shopper, so I got a really good deal. I flew American Airlines, and that cost me maybe $900. So $900 times $85, that's the rupee value, right?
Right.
And then from Delhi to Imphal, whatever that cost is, I think I got it for like $200. So you need the flight tickets, and then to stay, you can get an Airbnb or a hotel. Airbnb is cheaper. Hotels could run you anywhere from $200 to $250. Maybe you can get cheaper places, but may not be so nice. So if you get Airbnb, maybe you get one for $150, $200 a night.
$200 a night.
Yeah.
That's the cheapest you can get.
You might get cheaper places, but I don't know how nice it'd be.
Okay, you mean with the moderate ones?
Yeah. So there are dorms or hostels.
Okay.
Where you get a bed, shared bathroom. You might get that for $50. I've never stayed there, so I cannot tell you how it is. And then food-wise, places that you can eat for cheap. There's $1 pizza, a 99-cent pizza, they call it. You get 2 slices and a can of soda for like $2.50. And a lot of street food places.
Okay.
All kinds of food you can eat for cheap. Chinatown has very cheap food. And the street vendors. But the staying cost, depending on whether you choose a dorm for $50 or whether you stay in a hotel or Airbnb for $200 or $250 a night, that's where your major cost is.
Staying, accommodation. Coming back to social and community life in US, how do you feel connected to the Indian community there in New York, or do you have any cultural organization, that organizes events which you are involved with?
Lately, I'm not involved with anything, but initially I used to be. I was part of the group called North American Manipuri Association. We get together once a year during 4th of July celebrating, I guess, Manipuri culture along with American independence. People will bring Manipuri food and we'll do tabul chongba and stuff like that. It was fun, but I got busy with life, so I stopped.
It looks like in US health insurance is must.
No, because it doesn't cost a whole lot of money to go see a doctor here.
Right.
Right? You go see a doctor. I just went for my daughter's thing. The guys are family friends, so we didn't pay anything. And then the drugs, the medications that we bought cost 1,600 rupees.
Okay.
That would have cost me, if I were to go to the US and buy that, that cost me at least $100, $200 without insurance.
Okay, without insurance.
And doctor visit alone is like $400-500, $400-500 US dollars.
Visiting a doctor.
Yeah, just go see a doctor. You see the insurance bill they send you. Your insurance pays for it, so they send you a bill that says how much they paid, how much I'm supposed to pay, and insurance pays $450 one stupid visit. We have to pay a copay, which is small. It's like $25, maybe $50. But if you don't have health insurance, then the entire bill is yours. Health insurance is a terrible situation in the US.
While staying there, is there any stereotypes or any misconceptions about being an Indian in the US?
Oh, I bet there are. I haven't encountered anything like that. Most people think I'm either
Asian?
Filipino, Cambodian, even Latin American. Like, people come talk to me in Spanish and I say, okay, I don't speak Spanish.
Okay.
But I'm sure there are. But Indians are very prominent in the U.S. Just now, we have a lot of Indians in the newly elected Trump's cabinet. Indians are some of the most wealthiest minorities in the U.S., most educated. But a lot of people that may say negative things about Indians, like within the Trump group, the Trump appointment of this Indian guy as his AI advisor. So there are people of all kinds, people that understands that you have people coming from other countries that are contributing to the economy and the way the country is.
Which means you voted for Kamala Harris.
I did.
Okay.
But economically, I'm going to do better with Trump. So I voted not for me. I voted as an American. I voted for the country.
With its president, I think the terms and conditions of the visa changed as well. Is it difficult to get it, or is it hard to get the visa?
I'm told that it's harder to get visas also now. There are still people coming and visiting, so tons of people are still going.
We have so many things to talk about, but today we have to wrap it up. I hope we get enough time to talk more about you and your experience there in UX. Before we end our conversation, is there any memorable things that you would like to share while staying in US? One thing. And the second thing is, what kind of advice that you would like to give to our listeners, young people here staying in India or who is staying abroad, that would motivate them to pursue higher careers in the future?
I don't know if there's anything memorable. My life is ordinary. I'm doing what anybody would do. But New York is a great place. You work hard, you can get anything. I think they call America the land of opportunities, but especially New York. You can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. They also said the same thing about Bombay. You can make it in Bombay, you can make it anywhere, right? You can make it at least in India.
Yeah.
Life is good if you work hard, and if you know how to balance your work life, then things can be better than if you're just a workaholic or you're not working, then you're not making enough money. For someone who wants to go there, it's a big change, leaving all your friends, family, and then going to a foreign land with knowing nobody. But if you're okay with that, and if you want to pursue something that is meaningful, that's what you got to do. And if you need to do that, then you just have to follow the procedures in place to allow you to make a move like that. And yeah, it's a land of opportunity. If something you want to do, then New York is a great place to find it.
Thank you so much for the time, and I hope we will have this kind of conversation again in the future.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, you have just listened to an interview with Bachaspatimayum Rajoo Sharma, VP of Sales at Intango, New York, United States, with our interviewer, Kakchingtabam Ritesh Sharma. We will be back next week with a new interview. Until then, take care and stay happy.